So, good morning everyone and welcome to our today's webinar, Maximise Your Mobile Presence. My name is Mirko and I'm a digital coach from Tourism and Events Queensland. And just a quick check that everyone can understand me well. If you could please raise your hand so I can see that everyone can actually understand me. Yep, there we go. We have a few hands coming up. Sounds good. Excellent. All right. Before we start today, a few house rules and housekeeping in terms of how this webinar actually works. You are all on mute, so that means I'm the only one who can speak, and you are, the only ones who can hear me. So that means you can talk to your colleagues, you can talk to whoever is in the office, you can have the radio on if you like to. No one else can hear that except you, so that's completely fine. If you have a question or if you have anything you want to ask me, feel free to type in a question in the question box on your screen. I will try to answer all your questions at the end of this webinar. I also let you know that we record this webinar and it will be published at a later stage on our website, so you can review or see this webinar again if you like to. Okay, I would say let's start. We are here, as I say, today is all about to maximize our mobile presence. We have an agenda which is kind of in two different parts. The first part is all about how the traveler is actually using the mobile device and what does it mean for us. Yeah, do we need to optimize our presence? Do we need to optimize our websites in terms of how the user is using it on a mobile device? We will go through that in detail. And we will also go through how is actually our traveler, how is he using the mobile device in terms of apps? How is he behaving while he is traveling? And does it mean anything to us? Do we need to change? Do we need to add? Do we need to be on apps, for example? And that's something we will discuss in our second part of this webinar. In total, the webinar should not take longer than 30 to 45 minutes in the end, so it's a nice and easy and quick one today. Okay, in the very end, I have a point called engaging the mobile traveler. This is effectively only a few ideas or advanced videos and creative ideas for how to engage with a traveler through the mobile device. I usually show a video, but videos are quite difficult to demonstrate in a webinar we only transmit effectively a screenshot. I will give you all the URLs and you can watch it at a later stage yourself on YouTube so you don't miss out in this kind of content. Okay, let's get started. Why are we here? As you probably have noticed yourself all the time, everyone is using a smartphone, everyone is working, texting, browsing. When you sit in the train, people don't talk, people sit there and play with their mobile. And that kind of behavior is quite important to understand. And that's why we have the start image here, that everything is just on mobile and we don't realize anywhere at what's working or happening around us. But this certainly has an impact on us and in terms of how we have to do marketing or how we reach our customer. If we start with a little different definition or in terms of what means or what is mobile marketing, it is effectively only a way that enables us as a operator to communicate, engage with our target audience, our potential customers through a very interactive mobile device, which is a smartphone effectively. So, knowing that, we have a few statistics to go through simply to understand how big is this mobile market and how many people are there that use a smartphone. The first graph, what we can see here, is on the left top corner is who actually owns a smartphone. A comparison between leisure and business travelers. And we can see these statistics are from January 2012. So this is more than a year old. We know that these numbers are much higher now. Right now, but it demonstrates really well that more than 50% of the leisure traveler in average owns a smartphone. And if we go over to the business travelers, we know that more than 70% of those travelers actually own a smartphone. These are really huge numbers and just demonstrate really well that there is a huge target group that actually have or own a smartphone. If we now move over to the right-hand side and we go more into the ages, like who in the demographics is actually owning a smartphone, you can see that, for example, even the older target groups, for example, 45 to 55 years old, within this target group, more than 47% own a smartphone. So this demonstrates really well that it's not just the young generation who owns a smartphone or who is working with a smartphone. It is through all age groups, and that's important to understand. That whoever your target group is, they're most likely to use a smartphone. At the very bottom, what we can see here is that we also know that 43% of a leisure traveler who owns a smartphone will use mobile internet for travel purposes, for example, to search for a hotel or to search for accommodation or to search for things to do. This is highly important to understand. Okay, so what are they doing? What is the customer doing once if they own a smartphone, and what do they search? What is the purpose of using the smartphone in terms of travel? That's something we can see here. Again, these statistics are a year old, so we know that these numbers are higher at this stage. The social check-in is 20% of what people told us, or to Focusrite, who conducted this research, say that they like to check in. That means to check in through Facebook or Foursquare or Google Plus, for example, just telling other people through social media platforms where they are. This is just 20% of what they do with a smartphone. Actually, 30% say that they use the smartphone to book travel. 39% say they actually look for specific discounts within a destination, and almost 60% said a year ago that they use a smartphone to find hotels, to find restaurants, and to find activities within a destination. So these numbers explain really well that they use, or the traveler is using the smartphone and a mobile device for their travel. So this is important to understand, and important to understand as well what is the most disappointing point when they browse with a mobile device on, for example, our websites or anything else. And these arguments they have down here is they're quite similar. If you go through, it is 21% there that the mobile apps are not as useful as a computer site. That's quite logical because they have less information. However, down here they say it's too hard to find what they're looking for. Of course, if we have a website displayed on a smartphone, it is really hard to find the information that I'm looking for. Or down here, and that is even more describing, is that 44% actually said they feel the screen is too small for the content. What this means altogether is the traveler has difficulties to read our content, to see and to find information they're looking for if they use our website with a smartphone. This has an impact. Before we go into that, what we need to do, a quick overview of how the traveler is behaving using a mobile device. And here's a quick overview of how they behave using a smartphone and what they do with a tablet. If we go into the process of searching, finding, evaluating, shopping, and booking, like kind of a standard process of booking accommodation, booking activities, booking a holiday, we know that the traveler is more likely to use a smartphone at an early stage of searching, finding, and processing anything around a holiday, but they slightly move over to a tablet once it comes down to shopping and actually booking stuff. This is interesting to know that there is a switch between a smartphone and tablet, and this is actually growing. We also know that 21% of a customer who owns a smartphone also owns a tablet. So we can see there is a slightly shift from how people behave in terms of mobile devices and what to do with each mobile device. Interesting certainly is that they all share information. It doesn't matter which device they actually use, a smartphone or a tablet, they share information. Okay, well, what does that mean for us? This is an example of how a website looks like in a normal, not optimized website on a smartphone on the left-hand side. That's something we can see here. Yeah, and you can see the navigation is hard to read. You actually cannot read the navigation or the text at all if you do not zoom in, and the overall impression is not really nice. The same website optimized for a smartphone is in the screenshot quite right in the middle. We have an easy overview. I know exactly where I am. In this case, it's room and rates. We use symbols, so the customer actually understands, okay, this cottage is for 4 people, has 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and 1 garage. So I don't need text, but I understand all information really quickly. And 1 sentence to describe this property. A big button here, read more, and it will receive more information on your new page. This button is optimized. That means I can use it or I can click on it with my finger, not just with my mouse or my cursor, so that's very important. And yeah, the navigation is from the top to the bottom, and I just need to scroll down to see everything. But important to see here is I get the information that I need. It's very, very focused, and the navigation and the logic of this page is really clear to me. If I scroll down, that means I find all the available cottages. If I click on read more, I get specific information. Or if you scroll up, I have a back button to the home page. So this is just an example of how an optimized website for a mobile device could look like, that would satisfy a customer while they're searching with their mobile device. So certainly there is a big need that we optimize our websites to the mobile traveler. In terms of what needs to be optimized, there's a list on the right-hand side where I've created a few bullet points to just explain quickly what does it mean optimizing for a smartphone. We certainly have to make sure that the loading time is really quick, simply because they are sometimes just on a few are on 3G, others are just on edge. Yeah, the reception might be not really well in your area, or for example, if people are in the outback, that certainly has an impact on how fast your website is going to be loaded. So if you work with really big images, or even videos on site, the customer will have troubles to load your website on a smartphone quickly, and that could result in that they actually leave your page and open up a new one. Important as well is that you keep your layout for a website optimized for a smart device, a smartphone or a mobile device, very simple. It needs to be easy to understand the structure of the website on this small screen. So just focus on your most important navigation points, your most important information you currently have on your website. These information are necessary to be well placed on your smart or your optimized website for a smartphone. That is really important. As well, as I said before, provide tabs and not clicks, because the customer is using the finger. We need to make sure that they can easily use the finger in clicking on things to navigate on your website. Also, use a m.url. For example, your website, your normal website is www.yourdomain.com.au. A smartphone or a website optimized website would be m.yourdomain.com.au. So the system, the server, will automatically display the right version for the right device. It's not up to you to decide. You don't have to take care of that. The system understands what kind of browser and what kind of device the user, the traveler, is actually using, and will display either the standard website or a mobile website. and the mobile website will effectively just be stored on a m.url. As I said before, focus on your most important customer needs. Yeah, reduce your content. Make sure that the top information, the most important information of your website are displayed well on a website that is optimized for a smartphone. Yeah, visibility is important, as we can see on the right in the middle part here. They chose to use a few symbols like a hat for how many people actually can stay in this cottage. That is important to reduce text and to make it easy to understand, to transport information. And of course, do not forget the call to action. You always need a click, you always need a button so the customer has something to click on to go to the next page. Okay, I have a few examples of a few websites that are optimized for a smartphone. The first example I like to demonstrate is Australia Zoo. Simply here is just the navigation. They don't have many images, they have a short description. Everyone knows Australia Zoo anyway, probably, but they have just the top point or the top navigation at the very beginning, and I just click on whatever I want to find, if it's a tour or if it's about shopping online, or if I need to go to the full website, if I need a pass. Anything I need to find is outlined really well, and I just need to click on it and I find the relevant information that I'm looking for. At the bottom, what you can see here is they have always a click or a button to either tickets, a calendar to find out what's on today, contact, and any news. This is on any page, and that is really important because you or they actually want to sell tickets, of course. People need to know what's happening today, what's happening tomorrow, while they're traveling, while they're on their way to the zoo. They want to know what's happening at what time, and it is really important that those information are displayed and there and findable straight away. The second example on the right-hand side about Blue Water Point Resort, it's a very, very easy mobile optimized website. As you can see, they have used a few background images to leave an impression, to let the customer know who are we, where are we, how does it look like, how does the property look like, and that works really well. They have chosen the top 4 navigation points, what we can see here: features, gallery, location, and inquiries. That's good. That's absolutely enough. Yeah, customers look for features. They want probably a gallery. They need to know where you are, and then they want to book. Down here, we have the call us button, and that if you click on that button, the phone starts ringing, which is really important, or a link to the full website if there's someone who likes to see or read more information. A gallery could look like this. Little thumbnails that load quite quickly. They don't take long to load. As soon as I click on one of those thumbnails, I get a bigger image. If I get on the bigger, or if I click on the bigger image to receive and to see more, I know as a customer that this may take a while depending on my reception to receive this image, but it's my choice. So this is well done in terms of keeping or ensuring that the loading time is still fast. But if I like to see a big image, I can click on it. It's my own choice. So these are just 2 examples of nice websites for smartphones or mobile devices. 2 more. We have Whale One. It's a whale watching company in Mooloolaba. They have done something very similar. Yeah, we have the home button on the top left-hand side. We have an about section, we have a gallery again, and contact. Highly important. People who browse on a smartphone and they search for specific information have a very, very specific goal. They look for very specific information, and sometimes just even a phone number or opening times. So this information need to be findable very quickly. Again, a logo, an image to impress the customers. The customer understands they are on the right website. And 2 links to book tours or buy a gift voucher. What we can see here in the second screenshot, the booking process is included or integrated in the mobile device. So I easily just click on what I need, proceed, I leave my credit data, and I've booked the tour straight away through my mobile. A bit more advanced is the example on the right-hand side. Travel origin, it's more an information page with a lot of places. They start with a navigation, so I have to select my category or whatever I want to do on this website. And then as soon as I'm in there, I get a nice overview again of here, a picture, like seeing a big button for my finger to click on, and click on that and I receive more information. So these are just a few information of how an optimized website actually could look like. And yeah, make sure that if you optimize your website that you always have a phone number, as we can see down here. So if people click on this phone number, their phone should start ringing your phone. That's highly important. That's why people have a phone, to make calls. So add a phone number, and if I click on it, the phone starts ringing straight away. Highly important. And keep it very simple. Simple, easy to understand, the most important information. Okay. So they have a question. I quickly answer that question from Gary Powell. The question is it better to use responsive design or an m.url? Very interesting question. Let me explain it that way. Responsive design is effectively a design that can change depending on what kind of device or the customer is using. Those designs, responsive design, is quite expensive, and it needs quite a lot of work beforehand, because the way we organize information on a website need to go in kind of into a schedule in little squares, and needs to be removed whenever I change my device. It is a very, very good way to keep information fluent and visible for any device. And I would say if you have a large audience with lots of different devices and you have a bit of, let's say, cache available, responsive design can be a good alternative. But it will certainly be much more expensive than just running a mobile optimized website on an m.url. I hope, Gary, that answered your question. Okay, if we proceed, a few things that you can check yourself to understand is, and you can do this right now with me, just take your smartphone, and if you can answer these questions that I have outlined here, then if you can answer them with a yes, then you're doing a good job. For example, if, as I said before, can you make a call easily? Yeah, I hope that is the case. If not, we have to work on it. Is your content complete, or are there any breaks? Are there any mistakes? Is actually information missing? Do you have to scroll to the right-hand side, for example? Can you read and click without zooming? Highly important. People have to zoom in usually on not optimized website to click, zoom out to get an overview, zoom in to click again. Are your images on the right position? Does the navigation make sense for a mobile user? Yeah, are the most important information on your website available with just one click? And actually, can you make a booking? Yeah, these are just one of the most important questions that you should ask yourself, because these are the questions that a traveler would like to see on if they use a smartphone on your website. If you do not have a smartphone, there's a website called www.howtogomo.com that somehow demonstrates how your website would appear on your smartphone. Okay, we go forward. One click, here we go. A few ballpark figures. How much does it cost to build a mobile website? Well, that's usually a good question, and I get many of those questions actually. I highly recommend